So today, as we do this bold meditation together, I want to cover a couple of things with you. We're going to talk about what meditation is and why it's effective, why do it. We're going to go over a few common things people ask when it comes to meditation. And then at the end, we're going to do a breath meditation together. So what is meditation? One of my favorite definitions, and I've yet to find one I love more, is meditation is to become familiar with. Meditation is really a tool for self-examination, for self-study. And people often give up, I feel like, on meditation really quickly because they feel like they aren't doing it right, that they think they have to meditate for a really long time, and that because their mind is all over the place, they think I'm not doing it right, and so they just give up. And what I want to remind people of is that meditation is to become familiar with. And so we all have these tendencies within ourselves where you might feel like, as a person, as a human, you might feel like I'm a worrier or I'm a procrastinator, or let's fill in some of those blanks. How do you label yourself? Type it in. And what I want us to understand and remember, and that meditation helps us understand, is that those characteristics are not who you are. They are just habits that we have practiced, which is a huge difference. And human beings are very interesting for many reasons, but one of the things that makes us particularly fascinating is the fact that we can turn on our stress response merely by thought alone. Isn't that crazy? And thoughts are so fascinating because you can't see them. In fact, you can't even, when they've, opened up people who passed away and you look at a brain, or even if they were in a live surgery, there's no thoughts inside of the brain. But what happens is, that makes it incredible, is that we can think a thought, and within a millisecond, our body releases chemicals so that you begin to feel the way that you think. So I could say to us right now, let's think of a lemon. And already, just thinking of that word, think about biting into a lemon. And I bet most of you are having a physiological response that is happening in your body right now. And this is incredibly simple to realize this, and also shatteringly profound, because what we place our attention on is what we feel. Because we feel the way we think, and we think the way we feel, and it goes back and forth. And so when we begin to study what we place our attention on, then we have this new epiphany of empowerment, realizing that where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, we go, right? And how easy is it when you're having a negative thought train to keep going? And how easy is it when you're having a good day just to keep noticing all the beauty and joy that's in the world, right? So we meditate to notice these things. It's a chance for us to work with our mind and not against our mind. And just because we think something doesn't make it true. And that was something that, again, it sounds really simple, but the minute we think something, we have this response in our body that we start feeling it, and it can really feel real. So I like to think of meditation as like mental hygiene, right? We have physical hygiene, and you brush your teeth and wash your hair and do all these things. But what about our mental hygiene? To be able to observe in the present moment what is happening, and practicing doing that in a non-judgmental way. And meditation is really a practice of self-acceptance. So it's this big myth out there that we're just clearing the air, that you're going to sit there and be quiet. Well, you might be quiet, but I'm certain you're not going to be thoughtless. So whatever occurs, your thoughts, your emotions, sounds, movements in the environment, we are training ourselves to accept things without judgment, and practicing not adding that extra commentary or narration that usually comes. So you think a thought, and then it's like the thought keeps going and going and going and going. So you practice watching the thought, almost like you watch a movie. You're watching it happen, but you're practicing not having as much reactivity to it. So allowing it, noticing it, and then letting it just kind of continue on. And meditation has been around for thousands of years. And science has shown, so why? Science has shown that it truly does a myriad of so many things. We'd be here all day, but a few that people really like to know is it reduces inflammation in our body. And we have inflammation, that is the breeding ground for where dis-ease happens in the body. It helps to calm our mind, reduces stress, anxiety. It can improve our concentration. It improves our nervous system and so many more things. So a lot of what scares people, again, is this idea that they're doing it wrong. And what scientists have actually shown is that even when people don't feel like they're doing it right, there is still benefits that are happening. So I want you to be assured that as we meditate today, if you feel like that was a flop, your body is still getting benefit from what we do today. And what is wonderful news is that your success of meditation doesn't have to be based on the fact that you feel like you did it right or you feel like you did it wrong. Just by starting to breathe a little bit deeper, that starts to slow our heart rate down, and these glands in our brain start to release these immune boosting drugs like dopamine and serotonin. And just when we start breathing deeper, then we also start to come into a greater state of coherence and regulation. And when we're in a greater regulation and coherence in the body, this is the state where we start to heal. So when we're in the stress state, we're in the sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight nervous system. And so meditation helps us to move over into that parasympathetic nervous system where we can heal and restore the body. So it's basically like your best free medicine that you could ever gift to yourself. So that's one of the many, many reasons that why meditation is so powerful. So today what we're going to do is we are going to do a breath meditation. Okay. And a breath meditation is a beautiful way. We'll also use a little bit of mantra, but the breath is a beautiful example of life's impermanence. Because if you think of the breath, we can feel in each moment this continuous arising and dissolving of the breath back into space, just like things will come and go in our life. And when we integrate the mantra is something that helps train the mind. So it's really actually less about the words themselves, and it's more about just having a simple phrase that gives your mind, which will think, an anchor to continuously come back to. And so if you have a mantra, you can use whatever your mantra is instead of what I share. But today we're going to use a mantra called So Hum. Okay, it's a very simple mantra. It just means I am that. And I am that does not mean like I am Alysha or I am, fill in the blank. I am a mom, I am a sister, I am a wife. It's taking out the labels, and it's actually just really realizing the I am, the universal connectedness between ourselves and all things. And if you actually just take a moment and you breathe and you go, so hum, you can almost hear as you breathe, so more on the exhale, this like hum. It's like your body naturally does it. And what may even start to happen when you use this particular mantra is that the mantra almost feels like it just sort of can dissolve and from one moment to another. So it'll be there if you want to use it. And if it's not helpful, you don't have to. You could just say breathe in and breathe out, okay? But again, it's less about the words themselves, and it's more giving your mind and body a place to have an anchor, something that you're coming back to. So as we integrate that short phrase, each time your mind gets distracted, it gives you this chance to bring it back to the moment. And that's what meditation really is. Your mind is going to wander. We're human. We're not going to be thoughtless until we're dead. So you're going to think, and then, so thinking is actually a good thing, because every time you think, you're actually getting a chance to teach your mind, let's come back to the moment, just like a little puppy, like, come on back, come on over here, okay? You're going to bring it back to the moment. So using breath and mantra as the object of our attention, we support the mind's natural tendency toward distraction. We know that it's unstable at times, and we gently teach it again and again how to come back. And even just reminding yourself gently, not getting hard on yourself, right? Gosh, I messed up again. So that'll happen. You're going to sit there, I'll be meditating. So hum, and I'll be guiding you toward all this. And then you're like, oh shoot, did I unplug the curling iron? Did I lock the door? Oh, so right? And that's kind of what will happen. It'll happen again and again. And your job, you just notice it. Oh, gently bring it back. Gently bring it back. So let's just talk about a couple common things that people will often ask about meditation. And if you have questions, go ahead right now about meditation, type them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. But a few common things that people often say about meditation, they'll say to me, what is the best time to meditate? And the best time to meditate is whenever you will meditate. It's truly the greatest answer that I can give you. What I do suggest is that you have a space in your house where that is your meditation space, because you actually do create an energy to that space. And so if one day it's in your bedroom and another day it's in the kitchen and then it's in, the living room, sometimes that does have to happen, especially if we're traveling. But if you can, as often as you can, I want you to go to the same place. And ideally, you would do it at the same time, because we are creatures of habit, and getting that routine down, your body will almost look forward to it, right? It'll enjoy that time as it knows that that's your time to really listen and create space and to connect. Now, that said, if I could say a time, I always say to people, RPM, rise, pee, meditate. Okay, maybe brush your teeth too. Rise, pee, meditate. It's a very natural time right when you wake up, or sometimes before you're going to bed, can be a little more active. But right when you wake up, your brain waves are not quite as active often. Not everybody, but sometimes the minute our eyes pop open, it's a million miles an hour. But if you can get into that space right when you wake up, your mind isn't quite totally with it yet. And so it's a little bit more receptive to meditation. So rise, pee, meditate. If that time doesn't work for you, then the best time is whenever you will do it, okay? Second, eyes open or closed, because sometimes we hear meditation, do I have to have my eyes closed? Now, there's different kinds of meditations and different purposes for different meditations. So sometimes we will keep what they kind of call a half gaze, where you're not looking straight out, but your gaze is half down towards the floor. So it's a soft awareness. So you're still aware of the room, but it's almost like you're creating just a blur to it, a softness. So totally up to you. I will close my eyes for some of this meditation. I may have them open a little bit, but in general, when I am meditating, I always do eyes closed. But again, this isn't a right or wrong. This is getting familiar with what feels right to you. And depending on what type of meditation you are doing, different eyes open or closed will be appropriate, okay? Now, I think sometimes the reason we do open our eyes is we're looking at a timer. We're like, how long have I meditated? Has it been 1 minute? Has it been 5 minutes? So I really do suggest getting yourself a timer. There's a lot of great apps, like Insight Timer is one that I use, so that you have something that you can put in the exact amount of time. You have 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. And then a bell will ring to start you and a bell will ring to finish, okay? Guiding a meditation, when you're newer to meditation, doing a guided meditation is really helpful. So there's amazing apps like 10% Happier or Calm. And if you have other ideas, go ahead and type those in the chat as well, Headspace. But there's a lot of great meditations. Usually you can get a free trial and then they do charge, but it's usually pretty minimal. And if you're needing something that will give you that kind of schedule and something to follow because it's just too hard for you just to sit, then that's a great option. Now, do you have to sit on the floor? I am sitting on the floor, and I have what is, this is by Bean Yoga, and it's just a meditation cushion. You don't have to have that. You don't have to have anything. But what is important that is if you're sitting on the floor, that your hip creases, or you bend your leg and pull your knee to your chest, the crease up at the top by the hip. Ideally, you want that at least in line with your knees or lower, because otherwise it just pulls on your back. So if you find the minute you sit cross-legged, your back kind of rounds and it's really hard to sit and your knees are really high, then sitting on a chair is probably going to be better for you, okay? Laying down, there are certain meditations we lay down, especially if you do what's called a yoga nidra. But a lot of times we want our brain to know that we're not sleeping right now, we're meditating, and there is a difference. So I do recommend that you're sitting up and using a chair if the knees just aren't happy. You want to be comfortable. And if the whole time you're thinking about how miserable your legs are, it's not going to work. So make sure you get a chair. So a lot of you go grab a chair if you know that sitting on a floor is not going to work for you. And really the main thing is the position of the spine. And that's our final thing. Our meditation posture is when we're seated, and I'll see if I can turn here, we want the top of our head resting right on top of the base of the spine. I know you can't see the bottom of my spine right now, but key is you're not leaning forward and you're not leaning back, but you're right in the middle. Obviously, in our world today, we have a little more tendency to lean forward. So making sure that you are more upright is really important. Okay, so other questions you have, go ahead and type those in if you have them. And we are going to get set up to meditate. So I'm going to start my timer so I have a rough idea of how long we go. And I don't usually use my watch when I'm meditating on my own. I do use a timer again, but I can also do Insight Timer on my watch. So those of you that do have a watch, you can use it as well. Okay, I just don't like anything vibrating on me, so I usually take that off when I'm meditating. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple things as we meditate. The first is to get comfortable. So I want you to find your meditation position. Yes, whether that's in a chair or that is seated, make sure you are comfortable. Now, if something does start to feel like it's falling asleep a little or you have an itch, just be mindful about it, itch or reposition, and then come back into it, okay? Sometimes those things will go away, but again, if it's holding your attention, it's really distracting you, it's better just to address it, like itch it, and then move on, okay? So we're gonna start by focusing on the breath. We're gonna focus a little bit on the heart and bring in our mantra, and then we'll end with asking the heart a question. And so it's gonna have 4 steps, all right? And I'm gonna take you through all 4 of these so you could do these anytime you want. All right, let's find us a nice, comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. And when you are ready, go ahead and let your eyes begin to close. And to bring us a little bit more into the moment and just sort of notice our body in space, we're going to start with doing a technique called squeeze and release. So all that you're going to do is squeeze and tense your body up on the upper half of your body for a couple of seconds. And then when I say release, you're going to let it all go. Okay. So take a breath in and take a breath out. And then as you inhale, I want you to squeeze everything in your upper body. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You can tighten your face, you can tighten everything. And then exhale, let everything go. Good. Now take a full breath here. Let everything go. And now I want you to try to squeeze your lower half, which is a little trickier, but I want you to tense any muscles that you can really feel, your feet, your legs, your glutes, your hips. Tense up the lower half without trying to tense up your upper half. And then let that all go. And take a full breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, we're going to do it all one more time. We're going to tense top and bottom half. So here we go. Inhale. The top of the breath, I want you to squeeze and hold the breath. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And let it go. And take a normal breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now just begin to find a nice, steady, easy breath. And what's nice about that is you really can become more conscious of where you might be holding some tension, okay? As you bring your attention to your body breathing, I want you to notice where in your body you actually are feeling the breath. You might feel it against the nostrils. You might notice the breath in the chest or in the belly or the shoulders. And wherever it is, I want you to keep your attention for a moment or two on that area. Simply observing how the breath comes and goes. Sometimes you might consciously feel like you're breathing a little bit deeper, and other times you're not thinking about it, and yet the body continues to breathe. Every time you notice your mind wander, I want you to gently bring it back to whatever area that you are noticing the breath moving in and out. Every time you exhale, allow your body to release tension. Relax your tongue, your shoulders, your jaw, your forehead. Breath by breath, dissolving any tension. With each breath, it reminds us of the impermanent nature of all things, allowing ourselves to practice relaxing into the moment, one breath at a time. You may have thoughts or feelings that come into your awareness. And can you practice not reacting against it, just breathing into it? Begin to take your attention to your heart space. And now, as you're breathing, and this may have been where your awareness was anyway, so keep it on the heart. As you're breathing into the heart, perhaps sense a little bit of warmth in the heart space as you're breathing in, as though there was almost a little flicker of a flame, a light from within you. And as you breathe into the heart, we'll now add in the mantra as you inhale, saying so, and as you exhale, saying hum. So, hum, and you're saying it to yourself in your mind. And as your mind wanders, bring your focus back to the heart and to the mantra, as though the mantra is almost keeping this flame alive. I'll be here for a few minutes, practicing staying connected to the mantra and the heart. with your awareness still on the heart space, you can let the mantra release, but keep your attention in the heart on that flame. You can begin to ask your heart, is there anything you want to remind me of today? And then just listen. Create a space for a moment or two without trying to think of an answer, but just noticing if an answer arises, something that your heart would like to remind you of today. And slowly take one hand to your heart. We'll do it more to the center of the chest. Take the other hand on top of that. And take a moment to thank yourself. And take 3 deep breaths into your hands, into your heart. And on that third time, you can let your chin, with the exhale, start to bow down towards your chest. Allow your hands to release down on your legs. Gently blink your eyes open.